You're listening to Your Calm Parenting Path. I'm your host Nina, a mindful parenting coach and mum, here to help you go from overwhelmed and reactive to calm, confident and connected with your kids. This show is for parents who want to raise their children with more patience, less stress and a whole lot more joy. Because small shifts make a big impact and you can build the parenting life you've always wanted. If you want to see what I'm up to, follow me on Instagram at Mindful Parenting Lifestyle, and don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Let's get started. Welcome back to Your Calm Parenting Path. Lovely to have you here today. Have you ever had a reaction to your child that felt bigger than the moment? Like it wasn't really about the shoes or the whining or the sibling fight in the back seat. It felt deeper than that. If this sounds familiar, today's episode is for you. But before we dive in, because it's the start of a new year, I wanted to pause and say hello. If you're a long-time listener, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. And if you're new, hi, welcome to my world. On this podcast, we talk about practical parenting tools. Small shifts you can try straight away because small shifts really do create a big impact. Over previous episodes, we've explored why we yell and what's happening in the brain, the power of the pause, big emotions, connection before correction, and listening skills that strengthen your relationship with your kids. You'll hear me reference some of those today, not because you need to go back and do homework, but because this work builds. It layers, it connects. And if something sparks your interest, I'll link all the episodes I mention in the show notes so you can explore at your own pace. All right, let's talk about triggers. Picture this. It's late afternoon, you're tired, the kids are arguing, someone is whining about a snack, someone else is refusing to put their shoes on, and suddenly you feel it. That surge. Your chest tightens, your voice sharpens, your patience disappears faster than you expected. And later, when it's quiet, you find yourself thinking, why did that hit me so hard? Why did I react like that? Well, that is what we are unpacking today, my friend. If you've listened to episode 2, the one where we talked about yelling, you'll remember we explored what happens in the brain. We talked about the amygdala, the brain's alarm system, and how when it detects a threat, it floods our system and hijacks our ability to think clearly. In those moments, we lose access to our prefrontal cortex, the calm, reasoning, problem-solving part of the brain. A trigger is often that exact moment. It's when your nervous system decides that something is a threat, even if it's just a toddler refusing to brush their teeth. And here's the important part. It's not that you lack willpower. It's not that you don't care. It's just that your brain has gone into survival mode. That's it. In episode 3, when we talked about the power of the pause, I shared how pausing interrupts that hijack. But today I want to go deeper. Because sometimes the pause feels hard. And that's usually because there's something underneath that trigger. In episode 19, when we talked about what to do if your child gets in trouble at school, I said something really important. Before we even think about how to talk to our child, we need to pause and check in with ourselves. And that applies here too. Before we fix behaviour, before we correct, before we lecture, we regulate. And maybe that looks like pause, drop your shoulders, take a breath. Remind yourself this isn't an emergency. I say that to myself all the time because most of the time it isn't. We can be late. They can wear mismatched shoes. The world will not collapse because bedtime is messy. But when we're triggered, it feels urgent. And that urgency is usually telling us something about us, not about our child. So let's gently explore 3 common roots of parenting triggers. The first one is our past conditioning. So in episode 2, I mentioned that sometimes we yell because it's what we remember from our own childhood, not because we believe in it, but because it's familiar. Our brains are wired by what we experienced. So when your child talks back, ignores you, or pushes a boundary, it might activate old stories like children should respect adults, or don't answer back, or good kids don't behave like this. Sometimes the reaction we're having isn't about the moment. It's about a younger version of us. And that can be confronting, but it's also powerful because awareness is the first step. The second common root of triggers is our unmet needs. Triggers fire faster when our capacity is low, when we're tired, overstimulated, touched out, carrying the mental load. If you've ever noticed you're more reactive at 5 p.m, that's not random. That's nervous system depletion. When we're running on fumes, small behaviours feel enormous. And instead of judging yourself for that, I invite you to simply notice it. You don't have to fix it yet. Just notice. And that's something we talked about in episodes 12 and 13 when we explored listening and roadblocks. You don't have to change everything overnight. Noticing is the first step. The third root of triggers is all about fear and identity. Sometimes we're not reacting to behaviour. We're reacting to what we think the behaviour means. What will people think of me? Am I raising a disrespectful child? Why can't I get this right? Fear is often underneath our triggers. Fear of failing. Fear of being judged. Fear of not being the calm mum we imagined that we'd be. And when fear drives the reaction, it tends to come out sharp. This is actually something we're going to explore even further next week in my conversation with Anne-Marie Chorizo, because conflict often isn't about what's happening on the surface, it's about what's underneath. But first, we need awareness. Now, I want to say this clearly. You do not need to eliminate your triggers. You don't need to become perfectly calm overnight. You don't need to fix yourself. What you need is awareness. Just like with the roadblocks episode, you don't have to change anything yet. Just notice. So this week, instead of trying to stop your reactions, I simply want you to observe them. When you feel that surge, that tight chest, the sharp tone, gently ask yourself, what is this really about? Is this about respect? Is this about exhaustion? Is this about feeling out of control? No judgment, just curiosity. This is the beginner's mind, something we talked about in episode 3, approaching even your own reactions with curiosity instead of criticism. Now, to help you with this, I've created a simple Track Your Triggers worksheet. It's not a self-criticism sheet. It's not a behaviour tracker. It's a gentle awareness tool. There's a space for you to jot down what happened, how you felt, what showed up, what you might have needed. That's it. And you can download this for free from the show notes. Even if you only use it once this week, that one moment of reflection can create a shift. Because awareness without reflection often fades. But awareness written down can stick because small shifts make a big impact. So here's your invitation. Notice one trigger this week, just one. You don't have to solve it. You don't have to respond perfectly. Just notice it. And maybe write it down. That awareness alone strengthens the part of your brain that helps you to pause next time. Now, if today's episode resonated with you, I want you to know that you are not alone. Parenting doesn't trigger us because we're bad at it. It triggers us because it touches the deepest parts of who we are. That can be uncomfortable, but it can also be incredibly healing. Next week, we're taking this even further because once we understand our triggers, the next step is noticing what's driving our reactions in the moment especially when conflict shows up. I'll be joined by Anne-Marie Chorizo, a conscious relationship coach who helps families move from reactivity to connection. And she shares one simple but powerful question, just one, that can completely shift the energy of conflict in real time. It's the kind of question that makes you pause, the kind that gently interrupts old patterns. And when you start asking it consistently, it changes the way you show up in your relationships. So, if today helped you understand what's happening inside you, next week's conversation will help you transform how that shows up when tensions rise. You are doing such an incredible job, even if it feels messy. I'm so glad you're here, and I can't wait to keep walking alongside you on this parenting journey. I'll see you next time on your Calm Parenting Path. Thanks for listening to Your Calm Parenting Path. I am so glad you're here, and I hope this episode gave you something useful to take into your parenting journey. If you'd like to dive deeper, sign up to my mailing list at mindfulparentinglifestyle.com.au for more tips and insights, or book a free chat to learn how we can work together. And don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. I look forward to speaking with you next time on Your Calm Parenting Path.